For tropical storm avoidance and prediction, in this cases, various cases, I like to answer following questions. If I alter my course to avoid the dangerous circle of a tropical storm, do I also have avoid any other risk, like roll resonances or severe movements in high swell and wind speed? On hand of some examples, I like to explain this and what is necessary and required to predict other risks. In general, the tropical storm plot is for sure one of the most efficient methods to check if I will encounter the dangerous circle of the tropical storm predicted in the tropical storm warning and what are the courses to steer to avoid this dangerous circle. But this is not all what the master must check. He also should foresee if a vessel, if altering the course to avoid the dangerous circle of the tropical storm, it's maybe still in another risk, also related to the severe weather condition of a tropical storm, and further, what course of action to be considered to avoid these risks. Further, is it always necessary to alter the course or to reduce the speed if encountering tropical storms? So these questions I like to answer. So therefore, in our cases, I will use always the 4,400 TU ship, 90% loaded. The LBP is 247 meters with a breadth of 30.2 meters and a draft of 12.3 meters. The GM for all of these cases is 2.1 meter. And the natural rolling period out of this GM is 15 seconds. The ship speed is 16 knots, and we are in the trading area North Atlantic, and the month is September, which is mostly one of the worst months for tropical storms. So let's see our first example. The ship is here on a course of 220 degrees, what we can see, and 16 knots, and the tropical storm is 700 nautical miles away and has here a path of 310 degrees with 12 knots. So here is the radius of tropical storm, where we have at least a 34 knot wind speed. That means for 7 and higher. And this is 210 nautical miles or 200 nautical miles here. So I prepare my tropical storm plot, and I can see that with both of solution, I will run directly into this dangerous circle. Therefore, the course what have to be steered is 165 degrees to be out of this, because then I will be on 299 nautical miles. That means I will be by far more away to avoid wind speeds of 34 knots or more. So, but after the course alteration to 165, the master should carefully check if the ship will be in roll resonances. Therefore, actually, it is recommended every 4 hours to prepare a roll resonance diagram. And after 12 hours of navigation, then every hour a roll resonance diagram to be prepared to check if the ship will encounter roll resonances. That means parametric or synchronic rolling. So let's check this by hand of a program. If this is available, you can use a program, and we can see with 165 after about couple of hours, the ship will be here in synchronic rolling. So I altered my course according to the tropical storm plot, but I will be in synchronic rolling. So therefore, I can alter the course to 150 degrees to be out of it and maintain the speed. So here we can see if I maintain the speed and alter to 150 degrees, the wind is coming from 50 degrees, then I will be out of this. So what will be the situations? That is a situation after about 10 to 12 hours. What will be the situation after 16 or 24 or 25 hours? So after 16 hours, the wind is now from 140 degrees. I'm still on 150 degrees, and I will be we can see that here, this is the margins of parametric rolling, but the ship will be out of the parametric rolling if it has 16 knots. So I'm not anymore in synchronic rolling, and I will also not encountering the parametric rolling, but I should actually observe it. There are possibilities. I can either go back to 220 degrees, that was my course of origin, because a tropical storm was already passed, but at least I have to observe the situation. To go back to the origin course in this very moment, not so advisable due to high swell, what I maybe will encounter. So it might be necessary to stay on this and to be on the safe side, at least for one day, so that I make sure that I will not encounter any other risks. So now the situation is after 24 hours. So we have passed all the dangerous situations, and we can see that the ship is just at the margin so of parametric rolling. The wind has now shifted to 180 degrees. So I have to do something. I'm not yet in parametric rolling. I'm just out of the limits, but I'm very close to the limits. Therefore, it is advisable to increase here the speed to, let's say, 18 knots. What we can see, then I'm really out of this. And afterwards, I can then go back to my course of origin. So you see now that also a Moral resonance diagram or program is very important to see if I will be not in other risks. So the second case is here. I'm on 50 degrees, same speed, 16 knots. The course of the tropical storm, the path is 280 degrees, and it's about 800 nautical miles away with a circle of 200 nautical miles. So if I now prepare my plot, I will see that both solutions will actually cross the tropical storm. So which means here with this solution, and the green one, which is then there, I will be actually away from the tropical storm, but I cross the tropical storm, which is dangerous and should be avoided under all circumstances. So therefore, the decision to alter the course to 110 degrees, it's okay, because then I'm out of this dangerous circle, and I have clear around about 210, 220 nautical miles off of the center of the tropical storm. But the master always should check the company SMS if there are any special requirements. In this case, the company requires a minimum distance to tropical storms should always be 300 nautical miles. So therefore, I have to enter the 300 nautical miles radius here as well, and then I can ignore the 210 or 200 nautical mile radius, which was in part of the tropical storm warning, because this is now the most important one for me, which is company requirement. So then I can see that instead of 110, I have now to go to 118 or 120 degrees to be on the safe side to maintain the requirements of the company. So if now the master decides that he can also steer the 110 degrees and the 200 nautical miles might be sufficient for him, and there would be any damages to the cargo, and let's say the cargo is closed under the Hague-Visby rule, the master is not only responsible and liable now for the damages caused because he was not following the company requirements. And actually, this is a very important one. The Hague-Visby rule reads, neither the carrier nor the ship shall be responsible for loss or damage arising or resulting from any act, neglect, or default of the master, mariner, pilot, or the servants of the carrier in the navigation or in the management of the ship. Further, master acts as well reckless because he knows the consequences if not following the company instruction, that the cargo might get damaged. So in this case, actually, the liability and responsibility is with the master because he's acting against the company SMS, which is also known by the carrier. So here also the company have now cannot say they can defend themselves because it is just a tropical storm, because it was foreseen that something happens if we will not follow. So here we can have to check the company requirements. If the requirements are that we have certain radii which have to be included and should be always avoided or not. So, and the last example is here. Now I'm on my course of 260 degrees. The tropical storm is 290 degree pass, and it's 700 nautical miles away, which is around about 200 nautical miles. It's a dangerous circle. But we can see if I do the plots that nothing happens. So in this case, I should not just alter my course, let's say to 150 degrees. It is stupid because here the tropical storm will clearly pass far away from me. If he remains on his path, then nothing will happen. So that means for me, I should not alter my course. So at the end of what we can say is, on end of these examples, we have seen that only the preparation of the tropical plot is not always sufficient in some situations. Therefore, it's always advisable to prepare also a role resonance diagram or using a program to avoid role resonances, like the IMO recommended diagrams, to check if the ship will be not in any other risk if altering the course to avoid dangerous circle of a tropical storm, meaning synchronic or parametric rolling, and also if the ship will be, after altering, not coming into high successive following seas, which also can lead to severe damages to the ship. Okay. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.